Yeah.
Let's move on, though, now to the New York Football Giants and their 7-round mock draft. But before we get into that, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button and also ring that bell to get notified when Ryan and I create new content. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by NFL Draft Night. That is April 27th. Started to almost sound like I was from New York. We want subscribers. So, but hit that subscribe button. Help us reach our goal. It's the easiest. So, Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
New York Giants, super excited to see how they do next year. Hope they don't have a sophomore slump because they were really fun to watch on the latter half of the year, especially with kind of all the journeyman receivers that were playing and doing really well. Like they just kept doing well, which that's why Brian Daboll deserved Coach of the Year. We talked about it on our show, and they've already made some moves this year to help propel them for the future. Daniel Jones, 4-year, $160 million contract. Saquon Barkley has been franchise tagged. Maybe he'll get a bigger contract later on in the offseason or maybe at the end of next season. Then also, too, Darren Waller is now a New York Football Giant here. They traded their 100th pick, which is just a late third-round compensatory pick for Darren Waller. If he can stay healthy, I think that would be an amazing addition to this offense.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a huge red zone and over the middle threat. I like him in that system, and I think Brian Daboll knows exactly how to use him. So let's get into their draft. Speaking of pass catchers, we actually had the Giants trading up in this scenario. Do you have the trade details?
I do not have the trade details on me, but they traded up from their spot at 25th overall up to 19 and switched with the who was it? It was
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I have it right here.
Okay, there you go.
So they got the 19th pick, and they gave up pick 26 and pick 90. So
okay, so that's I think that's very fair, especially for who they got in return.
Yeah, and that is wide receiver Jordan Addison from USC. I think his pro comparison is he's a slightly smaller Stephon Diggs. And I think you look at what Brian Daboll was able to do with his 2 years with Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. And I think Giants fans have to be excited to watch that because what he is as a route runner is he's just fantastic. He is a little bit smaller, so he's going to be kind of stuck in that slot receiver, Z receiver role where he's most likely going to be in off-man coverage or attacking zones. But honestly, that might play into his game really well because he does a great job at pacing routes and setting up DBs and doing that. So last thing I'm going to say about him, he had 2 really productive seasons in totally different schemes, and that projects really well to the NFL, I think, when you look long term. And he is definitely in that top tier of receivers. I think he might have had a slightly poor combine than a lot of people were hoping for. But I think when you look on tape, he has football speed. He has the ability to run routes, and he has the consistency, the catching consistency that you look for in a top tier wide receiver. So
and that's why he goes up in my board over Quentin Johnston. Is from off what you said just a second ago was he has been successful in 2 different types of offenses with 2 different types of quarterbacks, and I think he has shown versatility and what Brian Daboll. I can only imagine what Brian Daboll can do in this offense with him. So I think pairing him up with him and Wan'Dale Robinson and now Darren Waller, if they can all stay healthy, that's a very exciting offense right there. So let's move on though now to their second pick. They select, I believe he was center at Ohio State, Luke White.
Yeah, he was the center. Okay. He can play guard. He doesn't have the best physical build for guard, but Luke Whippler, the center for Ohio State. So, this is a guy, I think this is just a solid pick. They need an interior offensive lineman to kind of help solidify that middle and give a Saquon Barkley a guy to run behind. So,
well, and also, too, and I'm just confirming here now, Nick Gates, their center, also just signed with the Commanders. So, this could honestly be a plug-and-play starter from day one. So, I like him. A lot of good interior offensive linemen have come out of Ohio State, and I think that can continue from there. So the Giants, obviously, as we have mentioned, do not have their 100th pick.
They traded or the 90th because they used that to trade up. So they're in this mock draft, their next pick would be at 129 in the fourth round.
Yeah.
So,
yep. And with that pick, they stick in the Big Ten and they go with safety Jair Brown.
Yeah.
Out of Penn State.
Yeah, and he's a versatile guy. Probably going to play more over the top than in the box. But again, he took snaps in both places at Penn State. And I just think building up the secondary a little bit more, giving Xavier McKinney a running mate, I think would be good. So,
yeah. So with the next pick at pick 162, they take Davis Allen, tight end out of Clemson. And initially, when I was looking at this, and I was thinking after the Darren Waller trade, I didn't like this pick. But that being said, though, getting Davis Allen this late, and also with the injury history with Darren Waller as well, I think that this is actually a good pick. Someone I think very low risk, but huge upside. You talked about him a lot when we were doing this mock draft, but a good receiver weapon. And I think I think another piece that is given to Brian Dable.
Well, I like him a lot, but he's very different than Darren Waller. Darren Waller is very much receiving threat, and Allen is a good receiver, and he runs very solid routes. He just doesn't wow you with his athleticism. But to me, where he sticks out on tape is he is a top 5 blocker in this tight end class. And I think that's going to be a very useful piece because he is still a receiving threat. And again, he doesn't wow you with his athleticism, but I think he has enough speed to get up the seam or maybe run some out routes, especially once you get in the red zone. And he's just a solid tight end in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's good depth, and you're at this point in the draft, you're trying to find just good value players, especially and they still have 5 picks left at this point in the draft. With the next one being 12 picks later at 174, they take O'Shawn Mathis, edge rusher out of Nebraska. At this point, we hadn't really addressed the defensive line interior, and we thought that this would be a good time to do it. This guy tested well, has a lot of potential, still a developmental piece, but can get after the quarterback.
Yeah. And for me, I think he's a little undersized. I want to say 6'2", 230, but he has speed, and I think he's going to be an immediate special teams contributor for the Giants. And for late 5th round, I think you're taking his potential there. And I think he could be a good situational edge rusher as well. And then we'll rapid fire here through the last few. Dante Stills, the defensive lineman from West Virginia. He projects more as like a 3-4 end than anything. However, I think if you're going to draft a guy like O'Shawn Mathis, you have Azeez Ojulari, who are edge rusher, outside linebacker types. And I think Dante Stills would be a good end for that. Doesn't do super great against the run, but you're not really drafting a defensive tackle that's 6'4", 280 to be a run stuffer. So, and then lastly, to finish off, Raekwon O'Neal, the offensive tackle from UCLA, just an athletic guy here in the 7th round at pick 242. Just some traits that I think you can build off of. Ibrahim, the running back from Minnesota, I want to say he had like 16 touchdowns his senior year, and he's 24 coming in, but I think that's good depth behind Saquon Barkley. And then lastly at pick 256, you have Mike Jones Jr., the linebacker from LSU. Again, most likely special teams contributor, but a guy that has a few good developmental traits.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking up this stats here for Ibrahim because he was another guy that I did enjoy watching at the combine. I thought that he did a decently good job. But I'm double checking on that stats because I did not know that. If that
I think he had the most touchdowns of any running back in college football.
Let me pull this up here. Yep, 20 touchdowns. Yeah,
20 touchdowns.
That's a pretty good stat to have. And he's sitting at 5'10", 210. So right now the Giants have 4 running backs on their team right now, but I think that he can come in and help out. They did just sign Matt Breida as well, but I think that he can come in, learn from him, then be a good secondary option to Saquon.
For round 7, pick 245, I'll take 20 touchdowns in a season. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap up the New York Giants there. I am really excited for this draft. I think this offense, adding Jordan Addison, Luke Whippler, and Davis Allen and a few others could really just go to the next level. I'm really excited to see Daniel Jones with these weapons, and hopefully Wan'Dale Robinson and some of these other guys can be healthy for him all year.
That's
So
the biggest thing. If they can stay healthy, I mean, they're picking late in the draft for a reason. It's because I think they got a good system that Brian Dable has implemented into the team. They just need to find the right pieces and then have those pieces stay healthy.
No, yeah. And so I like what they have going forward, but let's go ahead. Let's wrap them up there.